everybody. I'm Ogden City Mayor Ben Nadolski, and we are here at the Ogden Way podcast, the place where we tell Ogden stories by telling the stories of Ogden's people. Now, it's really important that we introduce our guest today appropriately. This is Deputy Chief of Police Tyler Ziegler. Now, that's his formal name. We call him endearingly Ziggy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So Chief Ziggy for us.
Yes.
And I would encourage anybody else to call him by that. That's what makes him comfortable, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's very few people that don't call me Ziggy.
Right.
Even now in my current position, that's how I'm known at the department. Yeah.
That's correct. So it's actually pretty fun. Just in leadership meeting this morning, you were filling in for Chief Subi.
Yeah.
And I called on you and called you Tyler, and you're like,
Yeah. That's when I've told you, only my wife, when I'm in trouble, that's when that
She
name
calls you
comes
Tyler?
out. Yeah. So you got me. Yeah.
I got you good, huh?
Yes.
Caught you off guard.
Yes.
Well, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really want our people, our city, our community to get to know the people behind the work. I think that people think that work just happens.
Yeah.
Or things happen, progress happens, whatever. It really is made to happen. It's made to happen by people, for people, with people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I would love for the city to know my deputy chief of police the way I do.
Yeah.
Right. And so thanks for coming here and sharing more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it.
So Ziggs, I have a specific recollection of our service together.
Yeah.
And first of all, when I hired Chief Subi to be my chief, right? And we've talked about what it means to have my chief.
Yes.
This is this is serious work. Overseeing a police department is not political. It's very serious work. And I need a very serious chief, somebody I believe in and believes in me.
Right.
And we have to have that chemistry and camaraderie. And after hiring Chief Subi, we elevated you to deputy chief.
Yes.
So you're his deputy, and you're also my deputy chief of police. And in so being, you're everybody's deputy chief. And you're kind of the brains behind a lot of the internal operations, kind of oftentimes off camera, behind the scenes.
Right.
Right. Chief Subi's got a lot of internal engagement and a lot of internal leadership.
Yeah.
And you really help him on that internal leadership, right?
Yes. Yeah, you couldn't, first of all, your selection of Chief Subi, there couldn't have been a better person. You know that. You've expressed that so many times. But you should know, you didn't know all of us at the PD, but everyone else knew that was the right pick too. And so that selection was the first real introduction to you as the mayor. What were you going to do in that situation? Were you going to bring in somebody from the outside because it was a nationwide search?
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't get somebody more Ogden or somebody who loves this police department or this city more than Chief Subi. And so that first pick was really for us, everyone at the PD, and you need to know that first, okay, we can sit back and breathe, because when you're coming in as a new mayor, there's apprehension. It doesn't matter who you are.
It's just the fact.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And so I totally understand that by you selecting Chief Subi and then him choosing me to be the deputy chief, that was a call not only to serve him and work for him directly, but I would be working for you directly as well. And so, yes, that's certainly not lost on me.
I appreciate all that. And I just want to say that Chief Subi outcompeted everybody nationally. I made him earn it, remember?
Right.
And I'm sure that made the department a little bit nervous at the time.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't believe he would earn it or could outcompete, but just the fact that we're looking at all of our options, right?
Yes.
But part of the consideration for me to hire internally was where is the department internally, and how strong is the department? And are we at a place where I want to build from
Yes.
and elevate and take to the next level? Or is this a fresh start or a clean sweep? And it was not a fresh start or a clean sweep. There are strong elements within that department that I want to hold on to, but I want to do things my way, and I want to be our department and build on that.
Yeah.
And Chief Subi, that was a big part of the conversation in the interview, was like, what do you want to do differently, and what do you see opportunities for, and how do our visions align? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when we were going through the selection for the deputy chief, that's the chief's appointment to make with the support primarily of the CAO. But of course, I have veto authority there too. And I was very much involved in your selection, and the men and women of the department really admired you, and you and your leadership resonate with them. And so you were a strong choice for them, and they were really looking and backing you to make sure that they had a deputy chief that they probably interact a lot, maybe even more so than just the chief, right? Or the command staff as a whole.
Yeah, in terms of, public facing, the chief towards the public certainly is the guy that everybody sees. But yeah, inside of the department, there's certainly a lot more interaction with myself and the officers and the administrative staff and our leadership. So yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of started to allude to this, but I had moments with both you and Chief Subi where they were hard things that we went through together. And for the sake of privacy for those involved and for the victims, et cetera, we won't talk about the specifics of the things, but this job as the mayor, and I think people wouldn't quite recognize what it's like to be the CEO of a city that runs a police department of ours, like ours.
Yeah.
It's very, very serious work, right?
Yes.
It's not a joke. It's not for politics. It's not for notoriety. It's very serious. And I went through an experience with Chief Subi when he was deputy chief, where I said, I need to make my decision on my own on this. I need to know what I'm allowing or what we're going to do on my own. And and to his credit, he gave me access to everything. And I went through it. I don't know if you know this.
No, I didn't.
I went through everything. It took me, my office made up binders and things for me to review through, and every single break in between meetings and every before meetings at the end of the day, I'd stay late and I read everything. And at the end of the day, that was when I knew that he was going to do the right thing, because it showed in all of the steps. Right. And it was like, that's a hard call. That's unpopular. But that didn't matter. He made the right call.
Right.
And through that process, I started believing him, right? And I had a similar experience with you where Chief Subi was out of town and you were acting chief, and we went through something. And that was the moment I said, that's my guy. So thanks for being that man. I think that people need to understand that we're not just doing this because of something partisan or political. I don't just believe in the importance of police. I actually believe in my police officers too.
Right.
And I'm here to get to know them and to, I hold you guys accountable and you hold me accountable to a standard too. And I just want listeners to know that this is more than something transactional. This is real people that I believe in their morals and their integrity and their character. And I'm counting on you to have that same standard and belief and accountability for our officers, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's why I think I mentioned, the apprehension when you came in as mayor, because we don't know you, and myself, Chief Subi, all of the administrators, the leaders, down to the officers, we care about Ogden. Really care about Ogden, regardless of what anyone believes or what some social media comments might say. We love Ogden, and we have a lot of pride in Ogden, and specifically the Ogden Police Department. You mentioned, your officers, right? Yeah, that's how we view it. There's a lot of grocery stores out there, and they all provide groceries to their customers. But we look at law enforcement like that. Some do it better than others. And they're all doing the same thing, but some have figured out a way to do it better than anybody else. They're more professional, they're polished, they're inviting. They figured it out. That's what we want to do. Our law enforcement officers across the country, our brothers and sisters, there's just a bond there that you can't get anywhere else or any other job. But when we do it here at Ogden, we want to do it better than anybody else. And that's 1,000% true. So I go back to that. We were apprehensive because we care about it so much, and we work so hard to make this the best police department for our people and for the people of Ogden. So what are you going to do when you come in as mayor? What are you going to change or mandate that will make it difficult for us to to not do the things that we think are right in our profession or most effective. I think that started to dissipate for me. You mentioned a time that you knew that I would be a good deputy chief for you, but I remember our first budget meeting in this last year. We were all sitting around the table. Yeah. People were talking about money and where are we going to budget and what are we going to cut? Where are we going to cut back? Where are we going to add funds to? And so it was very like financial discussion, which I love. But I remember specifically you stopped everybody, and for 10 minutes, the conversation went away from money and from the X's and O's and the ones and zeros, and it went to our purpose is to serve the people of Ogden as a team. And you said something that has resonated with me, and that was, you said, essentially, I'm going to paraphrase, but excellence is not a noun. It's a verb. This is where excellence is not a destination that you can achieve and like plant your flag on. It's something that you're constantly pursuing because you can't, like everybody wants to go, I'm now excellent because I've achieved this or not. No, it's a constant state and pursuit of something better. And I think that was the first time that I was like, okay, I even remember texting a group of my friends who are, administrators at the police department. I go, this guy's the real deal. Like he has the vision that we have.
It's in the Ogden Way framework, we call it the growth mindset. We have a mindset of continual and constant growth and achievement and performance and improvement, right?
Yeah.
And we're never done growing, right? And we all have to have, so I think it's just this mindset that's important. And you've heard me since, that's across the boards all the time, every day, right? I appreciate you sharing that story. I remember the meeting.
Yeah.
That's the executive leadership that people don't know about, that this job comes with. But I admire and respect and value my department, my police department. And when I talk like this, you guys, I don't own this department. I call it mine because I feel the connection to this, to the calling and to the mission of the department on behalf of the city and the people. And so, I wish everybody could feel that. And it's important as the mayor that I let everybody know that that's how I feel, because I'm here to do that work for them, but it's important I share that. Right?
Right.
And anyway, you have a really good way of sharing it in your way, and you've got your own experiences, but how do you think that the department is saying it? Because I'll just say this. You had apprehension, and you talked about it, and so did the department when I came in. That's normal. You heard a lot of things about me.
Mm-hmm.
Some probably turned out to be true. Some probably didn't turn out to be true. But I had heard the same thing. Right. You're going through the race, and you got people in your ear trying to convince you of what is and what isn't. And you don't know what their intentions are or what the facts are. And you're just sort of hearing a lot of things. And if you go to social media, you'll see the same exact thing. It's not that far different when you're a candidate until you're a part of it. Right. And you see the inner workings and you have the hard experiences that we've had. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'll say that I had apprehension too. And that's why it's been important that we get to know each other the way they have. So how do we feel about where we're at as the department now that we've been through this journey?
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible what has happened in just, we'll say the past 12 months. The vision that you have that is shared with Chief Subi and with all of us is manifesting in ways not only subjectively. I can say I can come to work and people are happy. I can say that. But objectively, we are doing things that have not been done historically. We have 170 years at the Ogden Police Department. And in the last 12 months, as has been publicized, some may know, some might not know, we have 26 laterals that have chosen, and laterals are law enforcement officers from other agencies that come join us. They choose us because they want to be a part of what we're building. And 26 in 12 months is unprecedented. And I say that because in the 12 months prior, in that same time period, but just 12 months earlier, there was 4. It's a 500, you said I'm a numbers guy, and I am a numbers guy, 550% increase in 12 months, just based On what? What can we attribute that to? Is it that we had some big pay change in the last 12 months? We didn't. It wasn't there. So what is it that's attracting officers here? And time after time, as we sit down into these interviews with these laterals, because we interview them, we're not just taking anybody. We interview them and we say, if you're going to come to Ogden, you're going to come to work hard, because that's what we do here. And if you don't do that, you will get chewed up and spit out. And time after time, they say, we want that. We want this culture. The word is out that this is where you can come to be a police officer, a real police officer doing real police work. And that's something that we want to be a part of. 550% increase. And on the opposite side of that, you need to know too, that in the last 12 months, we've lost 2 officers who have lateraled to other police departments. In the 12 months before, when we pulled on 4, we lost 10. So not only are we bringing in more laterals, but we've reduced our turnover outside by 80%. And so that is a resounding, I just think it just illustrates what's happening.
You mentioned compensation. We had not made any major compensation changes in this time, but we have kept up with the changes we made. In my tenure as counsel before, we made some pretty hard calls to try and level us up, right? And culture is critical. But it's in my view, I don't think we can really start to build culture if you don't compensate fairly.
Right.
At least competitively and fairly, respectfully, right? We're not the highest paid department in the state, but we do compete.
Yes.
Right? And I think that we can make up that edge through culture.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So compensation is critical for a foundation, but because it's just a really important signal of respect, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I wasn't intending to say we haven't, because you're right. When you were on council, we had a big adjustment, and that was several years ago. But that got us to where we were competitive. And for the first time, we started to be competitive with other agencies, and that was really helpful. But we didn't see that immediate jump, right? Because like you said, that's the foundation. What comes after that, some things you can't put a price on. And the support of a city, I'm not talking just about you or the administration, but the people, you can't value that. You can go work somewhere where you get paid more, but you also might not be able to be as fulfilled or supported as you will in Ogden City. It's just second to none here.
Yeah, and we've got an agreement, right? And we talk about this agreement every time we swear someone in. We talk about the promises I make to you and the promises you make to me.
Right.
Right. And it's about following the law. It's about adhering to and respecting the Constitution of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And that the Constitution is apolitical, that it is our compass and our true north, and that we rely upon it, and that we stand up and protect people's rights.
Yeah.
Regardless of their politics. It is about the Constitution. Right?
Yep.
And that's the promise. I make a promise not to politicize you and allow you to operate in an apolitical way. And you promise to follow the Constitution for me. And that arrangement is what is reflective of a fair and professionalized and unbiased and apolitical department out there on the streets serving our people. Right?
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think that's manifesting. Yeah. First of all, yes, you stand up in front of every single new hire or lateral officer that comes in and say, you have an obligation here to follow the Constitution and follow the law. And as long as you do those things, you're going to have the support of everyone here at Ogden City. You do say that. And I think that manifests because our people are going out. We have 155 officers now, the highest we've ever been, working on the street. Again, going back to the numbers thing, as of this month, we're trending to be down 15% on uses of force from our prior year, and even more than the year before that. And so I think you said it earlier, you talked about we're not only bringing in more people, but we're bringing in really quality people. Mm-hmm. And so even though we have more officers and more opportunities to have contact with the community, and we're unapologetically pursuing crime and criminals in a way that we haven't in recent history, mm-hmm. our uses of force are going down. And so that to me indicates a highly trained, highly professional, and highly capable force of officers that can go out and do the job in a way that we can be proud of.
That's right. I'm glad you brought up that stat, because early on, that was what I told you I wanted to see. I want to know I don't just want to know the crime rates, but I want to know some measure of our professionalism out there. And use of force is a good barometer for that.
Yeah.
We have officers that are so skilled and so capable, they don't have to use that as often. And they're enforcing the law in such a professional way that it doesn't create more conflict out there, right?
Right.
But that said, we also have officers that are able to defend themselves, defend each other, and defend the people of our city when needed. And that's a really important distinction. And when they do that lawfully and consistent with their training that's rooted in the law, right?
Yeah.
Then that's what having your back means. It means you followed everything that we asked you to, and we're going to have your back and to show that and prove that. What having your back doesn't mean is lying for you or covering up for you or turning a blind eye to misbehavior. And that's the point we make to them every time we swear them in or promote. And that's why we're driving so much culture at the sergeant level and why we put so much attention into that process, right? And I have not one time seen an officer bristle at that or push back, because they hold themselves accountable and each other and me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what people, I think cities and people across the country are losing sight of the ability for us to do that at the city level.
Right.
But to me, it's so simple. It's kind of stupid.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is kind of for your position, it is a difficult thing to say, because you have to know, you've said it so many times and so publicly that you know that when it comes down to it, that's the decision that you've already made. And they know that. They trust that. And if you don't keep that, or if we don't, as Chief Subi and I don't keep to that word, then we lose all the trust. And that culture and everything that is driving people here goes away in an instant.
Yep.
So,
but for those listening, remember that when you see an incident in our community, if you want me out there driving political wedges, there's people out there that are demanding I get out there and start doing that to sow divisiveness and toxicity and to drive a political wedge. Right. And I don't do that because I've made a promise to our department. But what the people of Ogden get in return is that they get a lawful, law-abiding, well-qualified, compassionate department that can also defend their liberties and their rights when necessary, right? And so do you want a talking point from me, or do you want a department that performs for you and serves you?
Right.
I choose the latter for our city.
Yeah.
Instead of the talking point and the easy, cheap wins for me, right?
Yes, you have, and we appreciate that. And you mentioned that when you see something, because look, we wear 4K cameras on our chest all day. They have to have that thing on every time they come in contact with anybody in our community, that body camera, any law enforcement encounter. And I don't know of any other profession or job that requires that. So, of course, things are going to be videoed, and they're going to make the news, and they're going to be highly publicized. There's no secret that, most of the television shows on are about cops. People are interested in this. Mm-hmm. But what you need to know, and you've been speaking to the audience, and I want to speak to the audience too, is I just mentioned the reduction in use of force. I think I messed up and said 15%. It's 25% from last year. We have just over 40 incidents of uses of force. You talked about we can defend ourselves or use force when it's appropriate. I want people to know that we're on track this year, and it's going to match prior years, to handle north of 50,000 calls for service this year.
Wow.
That's just calls for service. That doesn't include all of the proactive work that our officers are doing, the contacts that they're making in proactive work, which exceed that number. And so if you take, let's just estimate 100,000 contacts a year, and I'm telling you right now we have just over 40 uses of force. You do the math on that. You tell me, are our officers acting and interacting with people in our community in a professional and appropriate and reasonable way? 42 and 100,000 contacts? I mean,
that's a small fraction.
Again, yeah.
And that does not imply that those are wrongful uses of force.
Correct. And that's important distinction. Anything that involves any kind of, so for example, if we have to take somebody down on an arrest and they scrape their knee, that's a use of force. It could be as little as that. And it's so important. I'm glad you brought that up because we're not suggesting that.
Yeah. You're talking about the definitions that you're comfortable with.
Right.
But people don't know the language we use and what it actually means. So.
Right. Right. And to your point about, this is not to say, this isn't some argument about, those 42 are bad and the bad ones out of 100,000. So that's little. No, every single use of force goes to our Professional Standards Bureau, which is our internal affairs, and it's reviewed very carefully for those kinds of things. So we do have those measures in place.
Right. And the overwhelming majority, if not all of them, clear that standard because there are times where force is necessary to protect yourselves, protect each other, and to protect our city and our people.
Right. People have seen cops.
Right.
They know how people interact with police sometimes.
Right.
And it's not always friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we are nice until we're not nice.
Right.
And in this department and in this profession, when you're not nice is not always it's not the same. Like I have moments where I can pop off at the mouth or I lose my cool. And that has consequences for me, I guess, politically or whatever. But I'm not using force. When you guys choose to use it, there's protocols, laws, rights, right? That dictate all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's
100 years of case law that govern, and we don't choose to use it, right?
Right.
It's a choice made for us.
Usually you have to. Yeah, it's a choice that's made by someone else than you're responding to.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm glad we made that distinction. But how amazing is it that that we're able to develop this culture within our city? Do you know where I first learned the impact of politics on police officers?
Where's that?
I was in Washington, D.C. Have I told you this?
No.
So I was on the city council, and me and Councilmember Lopez at the time, we went out to represent the city council at the Fallen Officers Memorial when we lost Officer Lide. And one of the customs and traditions in the police world is you guys have challenge coins. So everybody made sure to show up with challenge coins. And we had one made for Officer Lide. And we had his family there, our officers that were there on the scene, etc. Recognizing that people were very, very close with him. This is a very emotional trip for him, right? And we were there for support. But after the events of the day, the officers go out to some bars there, and they have patches on the walls and things like that. They exchange coins and they tell stories and etc. And there was an officer from Kansas, a small department, small city in Kansas, and he introduced himself to me and asked what I do, and I told him I was on the city council in Ogden, Utah. And he's like, "City council? What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, unfortunately, we lost an officer. So me and Luis over there are here to support the family and the officers." And he's like, "You would do that?" And I go, "Well, yeah, of course. This is important." He was important to this city, And he said, that we can't get a vote of support in our city from one single council member. And it was all, and then he went into the politics of it all.
Right.
And how partisan it was and divisive and toxic it had become. And then it was us against them and blah, 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 blah. And he said, departments across the country struggle the most. And police officers make a decision whether they work here or not. Compensation's important, yes, where the city is, etc. But they look at their elected officials and how they are treated.
Yeah.
And if they're politicized, they don't want to be there.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
And they were struggling to provide minimum manning hours and staffing on the street because their politicians were playing politics with people's lives. Right?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, some things you cannot put a price tag on.
You can't. And that's like the local example of what, like the government shutdown. And we're like, oh my gosh, we got parties fighting over freaking who knows what. What's the real story? I'm not really sure. Right. All I know is the impact of our people in our city, and it sucked. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just politics ruins good things too often, doesn't it?
It seems to interfere when it shouldn't. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you want to share while we're here?
I think if I have an opportunity to speak to, the officers of the Ogden Police Department or those who are considering a position with the Ogden Police Department, you talked about that culture and what builds that. I think one of Chief Subi's, sayings is, he chooses will over skill. And essentially what he's trying to say there is when we're looking for people to hire, when we're looking for people to promote, we are looking for people that have the will to do hard work, to come to work every day and work until they're tired so they go home and they feel exhausted. But they don't feel exhausted and defeated. They feel exhausted and fulfilled. And so, that's something we say regularly now, will over skill. And that's so important in our leadership as well. So I want people to know that that's our philosophy towards this culture, is we have a will and a desire for a relentless pursuit of excellence. You share that. I know you share that because you've said it multiple times. And because we have that collective belief and because we strive for that together, that's where we get to this culture where we're having fun, where we're producing, where we're seeing actual impact on our community. I know it's touted all the time, the crime reduction. Again, I'll go back to the numbers thing. We're on pace for another 16% reduction year over year in 2025 for Part 1 crimes. Those guys can look at that stuff and go, I did that, because it's not me. I'm not in any danger and I'm not doing anything. The most dangerous part of my day is driving into the office, right? I'm behind the keyboard. It's those guys.
Right.
And I think that's the piece of that culture that you have instilled and we have always tried to put at the forefront of our organization. I think the other thing I just want to share is I don't feel, it's so weird because I don't feel like I work for a government agency right currently in the way that government work is sometimes portrayed, and that is soul-sucking, go to work, punch in, punch out. I feel like us at the Ogden Police Department and everybody here at Ogden City, we're working for like a highly productive, high-performance organization. And that's, I think, is what's so fulfilling about the culture as well. You mentioned the leadership meeting this morning. I sat in that room with all the leaders of this city, and I think that our job is important as police. But every time I have to sub in for Chief Subi, I sit around, everybody goes around the table and talks about what's happening in the city. And I just go, man, we're small. Like,
a lot going on, huh?
We've got it easy. And of course I don't, our job is not easy, but there is so many people here that have caught the vision. They've caught the Ogden Way, which is the term, you've branded that, and they believe in it. And so that's been fun to be a part of.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
That's why, that's my why of getting up in the morning and coming into work. I don't feel fear or apprehension or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to go to work. I feel energized getting up and coming here. Because I'm around people that feel the same way too. And I know that stuff starts at the top, et cetera, but you guys have helped drive it through the rank and file. What people probably don't realize is that when you are able to be this sort of a department and bring that type of excellence to the table, it demands more of everybody that's here. It sets a higher standard for every single person, and that the higher standard of people we bring in elevate the standard of everybody else that's already here. And then when we are full staff and we develop a waiting list like we are to work here, now we get to choose. You called it will over skill. I call it fit. We hire for fit. And what I mean by that is we're hiring for fit and mindset and drive. And if you don't have the skill, you have the drive and the mindset and the will to get the skill.
Right.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, we'll teach you.
We will teach you.
Yeah.
But you got to want it.
Right.
And you can't like develop the want. You got to have the want. We got to create an environment that attracts the people that have that drive and that want and that will, right?
Right.
And gosh, I'm just telling you, like, it's borne out in the numbers. But I have people tell me all the time, like, I see the increased presence. I see the increased professionalism. And I feel that energy every day when I'm around you guys because it's real, you know? And that is not just fun. I have fun with you guys because you guys are fun people. But I'm freaking fulfilled.
Right.
Right? That is a totally different level of living life.
Yeah.
When you live life having fun, that's cool. When you live your life fulfilled, that is the next level. That is purpose. That's your why, right? And I want every single person that works here to feel that way every day. And I want our city to know that that's the kind of public servants that we are and want to become. You know, we focus too much on this disagreement or that, but the overwhelming majority of employees in this city love this town, and they give so much of themselves for it, right?
Yeah, and you're pushing that. You expect that so that the end product is for the people who live here and
people.
Work here and recreate here. I think the last thing on that note is just the last piece of that culture to get that out of people, that professionalism and that excellence that you're trying to achieve is caring about people beyond what their job responsibilities are every day. You know, I have been dealing with struggling with some stuff at home, and I had to miss a work function the other day, and you were at the work function, and I think that the Chief Subi just mentioned that I was dealing with something with family, and it was a particularly difficult day, and you called me that night, and you said, Zig, I don't know what's happening. I don't care. It's not my business, but I want you to know that whatever you need, it's yours. Like, do whatever you need to do. Your family is first.
Always.
And I can't tell you how much that call meant to me, because if you're talking about that transition over this apprehension, that's the moment. If everything leading up to that, that's the moment where I was like, okay, you didn't have to make that call. There was nothing in it for you to make that call. But it was important to me. And so we take that energy, we take that kind of philosophy, and we push it down to our people. And that's that last piece of that culture, right? We care about people.
Yep.
And I think that kind of encapsulates everything else. And then once somebody trusts you and knows that you care about them, they're going to give you everything in return.
Everything you just said about me, I'd say the exact same about you. I guess it's the reflection of the culture. It's the standard. It's the expectation. Dude, I remember that day. I remember missing you at the vet. It's like, where's Zig? Right? Where's Ziggy Pop? Like, we have fun too.
Yeah.
And I missed that you weren't there to have fun with, but I also, I couldn't stop wondering and worrying. And it's not necessarily my business, the specifics, but you are my business because you do matter to me, and your well-being, the well-being of your family is super important to us, right? And it's not just because you're Ziggy. It's for everybody here. And if you're not a good father or husband, right? And that's what you're doing. You're being a good father and a husband. I don't want people that aren't good fathers and husbands and mothers and sons and daughters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be a good cop if you're not good in everything you do. Right?
Yeah.
So thanks for being that kind of man. Thanks for certainly being that kind of deputy chief.
No, I appreciate it.
Thanks for helping to drive and instill that in our department for every officer in our department. It's the journey, and we're not done. We're never going to be.
Yeah.
And we're just a year into this, really.
Yeah.
Right? I'm 2 years into my tenure, 1 year into our rebuild. It's not even like a rebuild from like a start from scratch, but putting our fingerprint on our department.
Right.
And that's I'm really looking forward to in 2026 is being our administration. I inherited a lot of things. Some things I needed to do over, some things that I wish I didn't inherit, but a lot of things that I'm blessed to inherit. And I want to make sure that the next mayor inherits nothing but blessings, right?
Yeah.
But we'll continue the build as well. So thanks for being that man and that leader.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy, loving doing it. We get one shot at this, you know.
Yeah.
One day we're going to be looking back on this, and so we just have to take advantage of it now and enjoy it while it's happening.
I know. We're going to look back and be pretty proud, dude.
Yeah.
I already do. Like, I'm really proud of the work we're doing. I believe in what we're doing so much, and I believe in you guys and who we are, that if there were political consequences for that, so be it. But I'd rather double down on the things I believe in, you know?
Yeah.
Than capitulate and change and be something that we're not, or something that we don't believe for political convenience. Like,
right.
You know, like, you can go cop somewhere else. I can go do anything else, but I can't live with myself and my conscience if I don't do it that way, you know?
Yeah, I do.
So anyway, we got a good thing going. Let's keep it going.
Yep, absolutely.
And thanks for sharing the numbers. Thanks for sharing your personal experience. I hope that's helpful for others to hear.
Yeah.
There's so many stories out there I wish we could share. They're just too private, and this is sensitive work, and it's not a lack of transparency. It's respect for victims' rights.
Right.
But when victims go through things too, there's an entire department that's helping them through that. We're privy to a lot, and they're counting on us to keep that stuff confident, right?
100%. Yep.
And it's part of being professional. So,
speaking of professional, you have a great setup here. You have a great team that produces this podcast. What's the chances that I get some photoshopped a beautiful head of hair here?
Well, you know,
Wait, is that beyond our current technology?
no, I don't think so. I actually do see you manscaping the eyebrows, growing them out a little bit.
Okay.
Turning them into bangs a little bit.
Yeah. We'll get something going.
I know. Actually, this is a nice studio, isn't it?
It's really nice.
It's almost as nice as your office.
You got a little bit to go there.
So, if for those that don't know what his office looks like, it looks like a quilted bear, the inside of a quilted bear.
Yeah, just walk into the quilted bear lobby. I'm not this is going to shock you. I'm not the typical cop. Like, people don't look at me and go, that's the SWAT guy.
Right.
So I do my own thing. Yeah, I've got a nice office.
Yeah, it's a nice, tidy, very orderly.
Uh-huh.
Like, you're a pretty tucked in, dialed up guy, right?
Yeah, I like to have, like you said, quilted bear vibe.
Right.
I'll go with that.
Except for when you let the end of your tie dangle into your soup while you're eating your bowl of soup.
Yeah.
But other than that, this morning. But you are a guy that came to us from Sacramento.
Yeah.
You're one of in a family of law enforcement.
Yeah.
Right? Your dad's the undersheriff of
Sacramento
County Sheriff's Department. And you got a brother working out there in that department?
Yeah. Sergeant.
He's a sergeant?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're proud of the work you're doing here. Right?
Yeah. Yes. I'm just glad I'm here and doing it here, because I'm like you mentioned, a California transplant, but this year is the first year now I can officially say I've lived here longer in Utah than in California. So I'm putting in my adoption paperwork.
There you go.
There we go.
Welcome.
Okay. Well, thanks.
I'm glad you left all that dysfunction in California too. But
we're doing great here.
Yeah, we are. Okay. Deputy Chief Tyler Ziegler. Deputy Chief Ziggy. Just Ziggy.
Ziggy.
Just Ziggs.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a good man.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a great leader. That's all for our show today. Thanks for tuning in to the Ogden Way podcast. For our call to action, if you haven't done so already, go to OPD's social media and look at the work they're doing. Suspend your politics for a moment and just look at the people that are in the photos. Look at the energy they have. Sometimes you'll see professional focus because they're in a moment. Sometimes you'll see smiles and laughter because they're in the community and they're amongst one another and amongst our city of people. I just want to challenge everybody to suspend your political bias and focus on the people that are doing the work. And when you get to know and give an opportunity to people, the real people doing the things that lift this city and help lift our people through the challenges that we have, it's hard out there, right? There's struggle and there's suffering out there. And there's people here like Ziggy and our department of officers that are doing the work to make better outcomes happen and help people lift themselves through challenging circumstances, right?
That's right.
That's the call to action. Let's be this type of city that looks at each other and treats each other a little bit different. A lot different than a lot of the nation is, actually. Okay?
Got it.
Okay, man. Thanks for being with us. I'm Ogden City Mayor Ben Nadolski. This is the Ogden Way podcast. This is Deputy Chief Tyler Ziegler. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for carrying and lifting this city.